Yeah, but I don't have any slide. I will talk.
Yeah, you can talk freely.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Fabian, I'll be asking to you very soon a question.
Adrian Bey, ben sizi host yapıyorum. Arkasından ayrılıyorum. Ondan sonra da siz oturumu başlatırsınız.
Tamam.
Beni atabilirsiniz. Attendek kısmına atabilirsiniz. Üstüme tıklayıp.
Tamam. Okey. Hazırız. Lütfen İsmail Bey.
Başlıyor muyuz?
Başlayabilirsiniz lütfen.
Peki. Teşekkür ederim. Hello to everyone. And this webinar is regarding Green Deal, the process started by European Union lately. And we'll be talking about Green Deal in a large perspective. We have valuable participants from different countries, and Adrian Kadaf from Switzerland, Thomas Garcia Ascareta, if I pronounce in the right way, from Spain, and Fabian Capitanio from Italy. Welcome again, dear friends. And let me ask the first question to Fabian, our Italian friend. And how do you evaluate the Green Deal process in general? And what else? What kind of policies are being followed in your country in order to comply with this agreement? And what else? Actually, it seems 3 questions, but they are all related one another. And how prepared do you think all your institutions in your country for the obligations of Green Deal? Thank you. Go on, please.
Okay. We know the first step of the path for the definition of the new CAP post 2020 start in 2017 when the European Commission launched the 3-month public consultation to collect the view of the European citizens on the post 2020 Common Agricultural Policy. From that, the European Commission proposal on the CAP have been traditionally inspired by 3 general objectives.
Yeah.
Promoting a smart, resilient, and diversified agricultural sector in a way to ensure food security, strengthening environmental protection and climate change action, and contribute to achievement of the EU environmental and climate objective, and reinforcing the socio-economic fabric of rural area. So the reform of the Common Agricultural Policy of course, represented an opportunity to renew this objective. And I think that starting from the 3 general objectives, 9 specific objectives were identified, reflecting the economic, social, and environmental importance of the new CAP. Where for CAP, I mean Common Agricultural Policy, of course. I think that in this scenario, the most important thing that the Common Agricultural Policy called directly into the question by the Green Deal. So the proposed reform of the CAP established the obligation for member states to clarify how the national strategic plan can achieve a more sustainable agriculture in a way to ensure the environmental protection and fight against climate change. So the Green Deal communication emphasized the need for a national strategic plan to fully reflect in a way the ambition of the Green Deal, the From Farm to Fork and the biodiversity strategy, and to be assessed based on the robust environmental and climate criteria. So under explicit request of the European Parliament, the Commission has detailed this element of consistency between the CAP reform proposal and the objective which has been included in the Green Deal, highlighting how the 9 specific objectives of the CAP are conceptually in line with the expected contribution of food production system and the economy of rural area, including the Green Deal. I think that talking for single member state, I think the national strategic plan need to highlight the specific contribution to the achievement of environmental objective included in other EU legislative acts, such as the 12 Directive on Regulation on Biodiversity, Water and Air Quality, Greenhouse Gas Emission, Energy and Pesticide, and so on. And should also be stressed that the proposal strengthens the obligation of member states to allocate a share of resources to environmental and climate commitments. In the past, at least 30% of the funds of the second pillar had to be allocated to this sector, but now this allocation will need to meet stricter criteria. Unlike the current programming, so that ended in 2020, compensation for agricultural area with natural handicaps has been excluded, since it's believed that the link between this form of support and environmental and climate benefit is not direct. So following this approach, there is also a minimum share of expenditure of 20% that will need to be dedicated to improving the environmental and climate performance of farmers within the operational program planned as part of the sectoral intervention dedicated to fruit and vegetable sector. Italy, in the ongoing debate, of course, is ready to manage this new requirement that Brussels asks us. But the most important question on the table in Italy is the completely different approach from the past CAP program 2014-2020, because in this case for the new CAP is more important the national program, differently from regional program. You know that in Italy we have 21 rural development programs, so it's quite challenging to harmonize the past for the future, this totally different approach, no? Because we need to have a national approach for the future CAP.
Now, Fabian, let me ask a question in this context. Could we say that Italy as a country or Italian people are mentally ready to adapt the new regulations and requirements of the Green Deal. I mean, from producers, farmers, to all trade people and business world in Italy. They are all ready to adapt all new things, new regulations in terms of Green Deal.
So we have to harmonize the national objective to regional one, because we have very specific objectives in terms of environment and climate or common indicator, I don't know, voluntary eco schemes, in addition to conditional and second pillar intervention. So it is a very puzzling debate from different territorial level, no? In terms also political and also social, because we was in the past ready to have the bottom up, no? Where now instead we have a totally different approach. So it's Rome that decides which kind of policy to implement, and then they have a consultation with the region, the different region, that each one have a different view in terms of the local regional needs.
I see. Thank you, Fabian. Adrian, it's now your turn. Go on, please.
Thank you, Fabian. I think also that it's good to mention that, of course, they have to be a regional approach, because there are regional climate zones in your country. So there are different soils in your country. So there are completely different methodologies in each region to be adapted to improve reduction of emission and also to gain the maximal potential out of agricultural negative carbon projects. So let's not forget that I think it's one of the great opportunities of the agriculture sector to have negative carbon projects. So it's just not reducing emission, we can really bind back carbon dioxide of our atmosphere to get to the finish line, because we are not fast enough without these negative carbon projects to reach the target of net zero carbon by 2050 without. So I think really regional concepts are very important, as you mentioned, and I hope just that also the people are ready and fast enough to adapt to the changes we need. And I think the innovation part is not a problem. I know many Italian companies quite also leading in new technologies, in composting and bioenergy solutions. Interesting stuff to come up, I'm sure. Thank you so much. So now we go to Spain. Please, Mr. Thomas Garcia Azareta, can you please start with your presentation, and then we will go with the questions later.
Well, no, I think I will continue with the same question, same interesting question asked to Fabian at the beginning. I think, well, in the first part we have the same Brussels indication and policy. In Spain, we are quite advanced in the elaboration of the strategic plan and in the identification of the tensions between regions, like in Italy, and also between political parties. Because even if no one is officially speaking about it, it's clear that there is tension between the main political party on the way it has to be implemented. I think there is a full agreement on the need to move to a Green Deal and so on. The question, I'm just closing the door because my grandchildren are coming up.
the important generation is disturbing.
No, Matteo, thanks. Later on, you know, it's the pleasure of the family life.
Yes, but I say this is the important generation for us, because they will see the success or not success of the Green Deal, and it will impact their future much more than ours.
Yeah, but they will first pay our pension, which is also important. No, what I want to say, there is a full agreement on the target. There is still discussions on the way. You know, the main new element of the new CAP is what we call the ECO scheme, which is concrete and specific actions delivering positive environmental results and fully financed by the European Union. And obviously, the environmentalists want to have the most ambitious measures as possible, and the main farm union want to have the less ambition as possible in order to receive the money with the more limited cost or involvement. And well, it's a difficult discussion, because we on one side we need to be ambitious because climate change is here. On the other side, we need to move as quick as we can, but as slow as it's needed, in order to take with us the huge majority of the farmers. You know, climate change will only be fighted if all the economic agents, companies, farmers, retailers, workers, consumers, taxpayers, and so on, take on board the issue. If you are quite severe on the requirement, you will have more people out of the game. But we need them on the game. We need them at the same time seriously on the game. Where to find the balance? Until which point be restrictive or be ambitious? Until which point be generous with the farming community? This is a key discussion which is developing today.
Okay, can I ask you a question, Adrian? Okay, Thomas, what I'm wondering is, as you know, you are Spain or Italy or Switzerland are EU countries. You are a member of European Union. Well, not yet a member. I hope will be in the future. Anyway, Inshallah, yes. What I'm wondering is this concept. I mean, Green Deal, as we say in Turkish, Yeşil, Mutabakat, is a very new, very novel concept in the world, even in the across European Union countries. What I'm asking is, do you have or do you experience awareness problem in terms of Green Deal? I mean, Spanish public opinion, all people or all business circles, are they sufficiently aware of this new concept applied by the European Union?
You know, I think people is aware, but people is more dreaming that the others do the change before them. It means if all of us have to be responsible with climate change, many people prefer that the difficult change which has to be done, are done by the others and not by yourself. We have all the Mediterranean country a common major problem, which is water management, which is water is life, and we know we will have less water in the future, and we know it will be distributed in a worse way than before. But we know that where the farming community is able to manage the water, there is employment, there is village, there is rural life, and so on. And where there is no water, well, in some part there is desert, and in other part there is desertification. I mean, water is essential. We have to work all together, sharing the experience and the knowledge and the research. We have to work all the others trying to make the best possible sustainable use of water. I think for us, as the Mediterranean country, for us, water is the main challenge we have to confront from the production side. From the consumer side and so on, we can speak about food waste. We can speak about perhaps on average eating less meat and more legumes and so on, more fruit and veg and so on. But on the production, I think I will underline a common challenge on water, which means that we will have perhaps to change some cultivation. We will have to change the way we cultivate what we have. We will have to change the seeds. We will have to change even the trees and so on. We will have to really rethink completely the way the Mediterranean agriculture is farming today.
I agree with you.
I think also here it is very important to close the loop and say, of course, if we change the methodology of more climate smart agriculture and change the quality of soils by having a circular approach and re-inject compost instead of fertilizers with high emissions, that they also are very important for the water capturing rate of the soil and having a positive impact. But of course, it is a very complex issue to build all together. I think important is that the innovation programs really give benefits to the farmers, and I think that's also the idea of the European Union, to give direct injection payments to these methodologies. The question is only, if I see your national strategies, is this circular approach and putting maybe also compost instead of this fertilizers with negative emissions in an important role and in a quick transition. And as you say, we have to get as many players on board, and there are so many players to be educated, to change the technologies, to get the right equipment, to use the new methodologies for farming. And we have not so much time. We have 7 years time to prevent a climate catastrophe to pass 1.2 to maybe even pass 2 degrees of Celsius increase. So are we fast enough in the farming sector to get these methodologies? Are you thinking that your countries and your strategies are able to build these capacities and build this education and technology networks, communities, so the transition is fast enough?
Fabian, I think it's your turn.
It's both for you, actually.
Okay.
Who first? I want to answer.
No, I think that we have really a starting point. So we know that international market for, in general, agricultural commodity is really at the stage on which the new scarcity is showing all its clarity. So in the past, we were aware that supply and demand was guaranteed by technical progress And the agricultural sector has experienced a period of great agricultural capacity almost on a global scale. No? We know the Green Revolution in 17. That has seen a remarkable increase in world agricultural production for several decades. Now, due to the need for more sustainable agriculture, less use of chemical input, due to the concept having reached the technological barrier such as to be able to achieve, I don't know, only imagine a short-term increases, we can say that we are fully in the era of new scarcity in terms of food security. Because for several factors, we know that we experienced in last decades, but also in the future will be worse. The price volatility of the commodity, the difficulty of to have agricultural product, because we have income growth. Some countries such as China, India, which substitute the vegetable protein with animal protein, and then they have a huge impact of the historical equilibrium now for commodity in the world scale. And then we have, in this case, the demand increasing that is higher than supply capacity to match this increasing in demand. We have also a conflict by agricultural production and biofuel production, for example. We know that Brazil and the United States move agricultural production to biofuel production when the commodity price was a lower level than now. And then we have a very challenging question that, from my point of view, linked to climate change, of course, pose a very important question in terms of food security. And in this context, I think that the Mediterranean region will be one of the most, I don't know, challenging, because we know that especially the south part of the Mediterranean region are particularly concerned about food security. If we know Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, of course, they are highly dependent on international commodity markets.
Actually, many African countries, not only north of Africa, as you know.
You are the largest net importer of cereal calorie in the world. So the question of the food security linked to market price volatility, climate change, I think that is the big deal. We talk about the Green Deal. I think that now we have another question that will be represented by the question of the food security, especially in our region, because also for southern region of Italy, Spain, Greece, we have a very heavy impact of climate change on crop yield, for example. We know that in southern region of Italy, we will lose at least 40% of crop yield for maize, wheat. This is, of course, a very important impact also in both in economic terms, but also in social terms. Landscape, people that move on from this.
I see there the biggest problem anyway in agriculture. So the old idea of maximum yield per square meter of farming to be changed in the maximum nutrition value per ecological footprint. So it seems we have to change the idea about how we produce and for whom we produce. So if our consumer is educated, then he is valuing and will be ready to pay an extra price for a more healthy food and also protecting the environment and the livelihood of the whole region. So more regional supply may also get in this part. So then also the big size agriculture methodology maybe will not be the solution for it. So not monocultures and then more of polycultures and maybe agroforestry and this stuff will have to solve direct two aspects of this maximum yield problem we have, because this is triggering actually also the emissions and also triggering the problems we have, and on the third part also the problem about biodiversity loss.
Yes, but I think that we need to face also the question of the farmers' resilience in this area.
Of course,
because I think one of the most important things is that a lot of farmers will move from this area, and then we will lose a lot of potentiality also in terms of biodiversity, production, and so on.
So question is, do we have maybe to change back some of the agriculture area to forest area for, let's say, negative carbon projects to bind back carbon dioxide from our atmosphere? It can be that, let's say, less production can be a better solution than having the maximum production. No?
Could I add to this discussion two more elements in order to increase the confusion? Link it to social issues. The first one is that healthy food can be more expensive than non-healthy food. And there is a significant part of our society who is today suffering from food shortage and so on, from the economic crisis, from the COVID crisis and so on. And obviously, this social aspect of internal solidarity between the communities cannot be forgotten. Because if we forget them, they will feel forgotten and they will move to radical political situation or radical position or anti-system and so on, or negationist of climate change or whatever. The second element, which is social, and I fully agree that there is a technical revolution which is happening today, and that research innovation can help us a lot in order to answer to part, at least, of the challenge. But we have to make it in a way which is accessible to the family farmers. This means the core of our farmers.
So I'm sorry, mostly small family farming.
Exactly, small family farming. This means we need to find a way through a cooperative or through a state agency, whatever, in each country, they have to find its own way or mixture between private and public initiatives. And so on. But we need to find the way to have an inclusive, sustainable agriculture, which means that small farmers, family farmers, are also able to be part of the game and to have access to this technology. I don't think that each small farmer has to buy a drone in order to know what's happening on his field, but I think they have to be able to access to drone technology, to new seeds technology, to technical advice, to technicians and so on, in order to be part of the game. And
digital farming.
Sorry?
Digital farming, you say?
Yeah, but even for animal farming, if we want to decrease, for instance, the use of antibiotic or for hormones and so on, we need to increase the technicalities of the farmers. and we need to increase the technicalities of all the farmers, the small, the big, and so on. But for the big one, we have no problem. They know their business and they will do it without perhaps our help. But small farms, family farmers, really need to be helped, support, accompanied in this process in order to be inclusively included in this game. We need them for real reason. We need them for feeding the world, but we have to help them to enter in the new century.
Fully agree.
We need them also to protect our soils, because the soil is a solution for the climate crisis as well. So I say the small farmers need the access to finance to get the equipment which they need to implement the methodology. And I think this is the main goal also from European Union to use payments to these farmers, I hope, right?
Hmm. And there is an issue that Fabian knows quite well. In addition to that, which is active in Turkey, in Spain, and starting developing in Italy, which is insurance, in order to increase the resilience of the farmer, in addition to technology, in addition to a good mixture of crop, in addition to a better water management, in addition to all that which is needed. I think insurance can play a role in order to promote change and to ensure farmers that if they move to a resilience way, they will have more security or more future and so on. But Fabian, you know quite well the issue.
Are insurance companies ready for these new technologies? Because I read articles that, for example, if you have a polycrop farming methodology, that the insurance companies sometimes not even are able to give coverage for the production, because they lack of the experience to calculate the risk if there are different crops on one field.
In Spain, there is no problem, but in Italy, Fabian?
But in Italy also, because we have a long history on the back on this field. But actually, the question is that private insurance companies are unable to support these new heavy losses. So we're starting talking about a new mechanism, such as catastrophic bonds, where we have a public reinsurance or a public emission of disaster bond, in a way to transfer to financial market economic losses that private subjects are unable to support, such as insurance company. So we are starting to talking about that.
Maybe it could be a possibility to link revenues from carbon certification to the bonds. So, for example, the insurance company could be refinanced over the benefits of the carbon positive effect of this kind of farming methodology. So maybe not only the farmer, but as well the insurer maybe have to participate in the same fund to balance this properly.
Yeah, but as Thomas well said before, we need to. I think we need to share different knowledge, different research area, because I very aware that in the future we need to collaborate for different fields of research, and because I think that single country are unable to face this new scenario, global scenario. So we also European Union alone will be unable to tackle this kind of challenges, because we have China, we have Asia, we have North America, we have South America. So the Amazonian forestry burning, this affects also European Union. No? So if we push on the biological, in English with organic. So, but we know that if all farmers will be organic producers, we have a huge problem in terms of food security. So we have to balance this all these questions, as Thomas said before also.
I think one of our main activities, at least one of my main activities, and I think Fabian too, is to try to explain to our politicians the complexity of the question and the fact that there is no a single answer, but we need a policy mix. And when they ask, are you sure that with this policy mix we will succeed? Our answer is no. The only thing we are sure is that we will have to change and learning by doing the mix and so on, and perhaps remove some policy and perhaps include some new policy. We are building a new world. Yes. And this is something nor the politician, nor often the public opinion like. But well, it's a new reality, it's a new world. You know, if we don't adapt to this new world voluntary, we will have to adapt massive forcefully. And well, we have the image. You speak at the beginning of the fires in Turkey. We have the floods in Germany, but we have the droughts in United States and Australia. It means and we have the drought in France, and so on. It's clear. If we don't do it voluntarily, we'll do it forcefully, and the social and human cost of doing forcefully is dramatic. And here again, I think the MED countries need to work together, because we share experience and we share problems.
Of course.
Drought.
Sorry, Thomas. Go on, please.
Drought, water, fires. When I speak with until now, when I spoke with my German friends, they had problem to understand the relevance of the forest fire. I'm afraid they are starting to learn it, and so on. If we look to Siberia, for instance, we shared common problems, and we have to. The scientific community and the political community need to work closely.
Thomas, actually, I mean, by the way, actually, we have come to a point. I mean, in 2021, as the world, all these strategic concepts such as climate change, food security, food insecurity, zero hunger, water management, drought, small family farming, all these strategic concepts are related to each other in these days.
Yeah.
Not much used to be in the past, but now they are all mixed with each other.
Yes, clearly. And each day more urgent.
So that's why I fully agree with you. We all have to cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
I think also, if you look on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 18, cooperation, I always promote as the most important one of all these goals, because everybody feels himself as not strong enough to tackle such a big problem. So our only chance really to have joint forces in any kind of technologies, society, cooperative, to really succeed in this fight, and this really urgent fight against climate change and this climate emergency.
There is a new initiative in Europe which is starting to be developed, which is the Rural or Farming Erasmus, which is an exchange of farmers from one country to another who spend some months in order to know exactly what's happening, not in abstract, what's happening in another farm of another country. And I think this initiative, once it will be consolidated in Europe, would be wonderful among the Mediterranean countries. This means a Turkish farmer going to Spain, a Spanish farmer going to Italy, an Italian farmer going to Egypt, to Tunis, and so on, just to know and to see that a huge part of the problems are the same.
I think in Turkey we have this Köy Institute opportunity to be revived, I guess. I think this is also something like this, a rural kind of education centers, which such kind of exchange would be probably then happening. I think that's a very important part, not only for farming. I think in many different areas, this exchange from different continents and different countries to see what is happening with organic waste. I'm specialist for waste management. So also, let's say, technologies developed and adapted for this kind of countries needs to be, let's say, exchanged and again adapted in other countries. And there also this kind of programs are very, very important, right? Yes, I think slowly we come to the end. Is there any last message which you like to share and or to promote? Mr. Fabian, maybe start again with you.
Well, the last remarks.
I don't have much more to add. I think that we could conclude that by a word, complexity, to tackle a lot of, as told Thomas before. So we are in an area where we have Twitter, Instagram, so quickly, short. So in reality, we have a lot of questions that are very complex and to afford.
Fabian speak about complexity. I will add another word, which is together.
Together, yeah.
If we have to summarize, I think those two words.
It's very nice part also of the mission from the Green Deal, which say leave nobody behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it has to be a fair transition. It has to be affordable, as you said. We need time, even if we don't have time, but we need time to take everybody and as many as possible with us to cooperate with us. Yes, thank you so much for your very valuable inputs and views from your countries. Thank you so much. I hope to see you on another panel again. Thank you.
Shukran.
Yes, thank you all. This is a good conclusion. Thank you all. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Fabian.
Was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.